while we're waiting on those biscuits to come out of the oven, and it has been about 10 minutes at this point, and they're not ready yet. We're going to talk about what we're doing. I love my Sunday dinner with friends, when we have either friends over or we actually are able to go out and have dinner out. And for the past couple of weeks, early in the summer, we were able to wear our mask in and out of the restaurant and actually sit at a table and have dinner. And it's just one couple and us. And so I thought, well, at least one Sunday, let's have them here at the house. Now, let me remind you, in my house, if you come in, you need to be vaccinated. And so we've taken care of that. Everybody's taken care of. I know that. I didn't even have to ask the question because they were checking us out first. So we're good to go with that. But some things that you want to keep in mind, is that I like to plan. I like to put things down on paper, and so that I know exactly what I'm doing. It helps me to plan. If I need to do things in advance, I know what those are, what day I need to get it ready. Like today, I needed to prep the biscuits. And tomorrow, I have a couple of things that I need to do. But most of the work is going to be done the day of and the day before the function. Now, so you're going to see some of that planning and some of the preparation along the way of some of the things that we're going to do. And, I'm inviting you because I want you to be right here with us. You can be with me through the planning process, as well as I would love for you to help me set that table and get it all ready to go, because I like to do that in advance as well. And we can do that at least a day or so in advance, so that it will stay nice and clean, and everyone will be ready to go. I won't shed one drop of sweat because I will have everything in place. So a well-planned function is a function that is going to make you happy and your guests happy. You around so you can see. This is our Sunday dinner with friends. We're going to have a little appetizer of just some spinach dip and chips, and we're going to put that spinach dip together. I'm going to grill some salmon. We're going to have some chicken wings. Our side dish is going to be a broccoli salad, a little bit of potato salad. Yes, we're going to have some hot green beans, sliced tomatoes, onions, and cukes. And I may even switch that sliced tomatoes, onions, and cukes to a little cucumber and green pea salad that I've seen. So I think I might change that. But I've got plenty of time to be able to do that. For dessert, I want to fix an apple slab pie and serve that with some ice cream. Drinks, I'll either decide on, we'll have iced tea, lemonade. Of course, we always have bottled water, and the fellas might want a beer. So we'll see about that. Now let's look at our timeline. Now today, I'm in the process of washing and ironing the linens to make sure that all of that's taken care of. Wednesday is going to be my crazy day because this house is going to be spotless. Friday is when I'm going to go to the grocery with a list. Remember, with a list. And whatever you do not have, put it on that list between now and Friday, so that once you get to the grocery, you can take care of that. When you look at Saturday, you're going to see that Saturday is pretty busy. But if I do everything on Saturday that I'm supposed to do, then the day of the event is going to be smooth, because all I'll need to do is to take my fish out, make sure that it's in the refrigerator so that I can grill it at the last minute. I'll place the green beans in the crock pot to warm up, because I'm going to pre-cook those. And then just before the function, we'll grill the fish, warm the wings, and when our guests arrive, I'm going to be ready for them, and I'll look perfect. No aprons at 3 o'clock. Today we're doing a little work ahead, and I think this weekend I'm going to prepare some fish, and with that fish I want some delicious Cheddar Bay biscuits. And you know, there's nothing better than Cheddar Bay biscuits. When we go to Red Lobster, it's all about the biscuits. I want those first on the table. And you know what? We need about 3 servings before the food even gets there. So let's put together our own Cheddar Bay biscuits because they're not hard to do. It just takes a teeny tiny bit of time. And what we're going to do is that we're going to prepare them in advance so that all we have to do is take them out of the freezer and put them onto an oiled pan and into that oven. So let's put those biscuits together. I'm using my processor, my food processor, to do this because after all, we want to be able to do them, and I want you to know that you can put them together very quickly. So in my processor, I just have the blade in, and we're going to add in about 2 cups of flour, and I'm using self-rising flour. So I'm going to get that measured into the processor, and then we're going to add a few more things. Now, while I'm measuring, thank you so much for coming to the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme. I'm Leona Dooley, and you know, we do these kinds of things all the time. So I'm hoping that you're going to try these recipes. Now, before you go any further, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and tap that thumbs up so that I know that you like what you see, and I'll make more and more videos of it. So let's get back to the recipe. Now in my dish, I'm going to add in about a ½ teaspoon of salt. I'm going to also put in some garlic powder, and I better take the top off of this because I don't think it's going to fit. I'll put in about a ½ teaspoon. You really could, if you like more garlic, you could add in a little extra. Throwing in the garlic powder. Notice I'm using garlic powder, not garlic salt. And I'm also going to add in a little touch, about a ¼ teaspoon of onion powder, because you want all of those flavors in your Cheddar Bay biscuits. Now, if you were really wanting to put on the dog, you could even add in a little pepperoncino just to add that little extra kick, but we're not going to do that today. I also need just a touch of sugar, so I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of sugar. Okay, so all of those are ready. I just have to give them a little shake, and they're all mixed up, so they're ready when it's time for them to go in. So I'll just sit those off to the side. Now we're going to work on the cheese, because after all, they're not Cheddar Bay biscuits unless they have cheddar. So I'm going to cut this up into really teeny tiny little cubes even before it gets processed. I have a half pound of cheddar that I'm going to put in with this particular mixture. And I've sliced the block into slices, and I'm just going through and making even smaller cuts. Then once I do that, I'll go through and make little small cubes. So here are the cubes. I've started those. So I'm just going to stack up a couple of stacks of cheese, and slice these little stacks into about thirds or fourths, whichever works best for you. And then that's when you're going to give it that little fine dice. So I'm going to continue doing that until I have them all diced and ready to go. My little dices are made of the cheese, and I have some butter that I also diced and placed in the freezer because I want these to stay nice and cold. So I'm going to pull the processor over a little closer so I can get to it. And I'm going to put in first I think I'm going to sprinkle in all the spices. And I'm going to put the top on that because I don't want to over process the butter. And I'm just going to give that a chop. Okay, that's mixed up our spices. Now I'm going to add in the half stick of butter that I diced and put into the freezer. Get all that out of there. Might take a minute. I had it in a little zip bag. I did it last night, actually, in preparation for you today, so it wouldn't take us so long. And so I'm putting that in. And you know what? While I'm doing that, I'm also going to add in the cheddar cheese. Now, if you lose one, it's okay. All right, let's go. I'm going to open that up. Look at what we've got. Oh, I can see the butter. I can see the cheese. I can see everything nice and pulsed. You know what comes next? The buttermilk. All right, so let's get the milk out of the refrigerator, and we're going to put these biscuits together. Now, I'm going to pour about a cup of buttermilk into this measuring cup, and you're going to see it's still pretty thick. I guess I should have shaken it up just a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to pour that in. And where's my top? We're going to pulse. Now, if it still looks a little dry, you can add just a tad bit more. So I'm going to put just a tiny bit more. Okay, we're good to go. Now I'm going to pour this out onto my work surface. We're going to work it, and we're actually going to go ahead and cut them into their individual biscuits. I have my towel down on my work surface, and I'm going to sprinkle in just a little bit of flour. Just a little bit, because technically the recipe calls for 2 1/2, but you never want to put the whole 2 1/2 in the mix, because it may need that half cup and it may not. And it's easier to put it on the work surface and to add to it if you need it. Now I'm going to take all of this and I'm going to work it out without cutting my hand. And it's pretty moist, which is okay. You wanted to do that. You get a spatula and get everything nice and cleaned up. And also, you want to use a spatula to keep from cutting your hand, because these blades are super sharp. So, that's one blade, and that's the little part that holds it. So all of that's going to go over there to be clean. Now I'm going to take my spatula and just run it around the sides and get everything out onto the work surface. because we don't want to overwork this, and we want the dough to actually stay pretty cold. Okay, got everything here. My hands are nice and clean, and I'm going to use my towel and put a little bit of flour on my hand and a little bit on top, off to the side. Okay, so I'm going to use the towel, and we're going to start to bring this together. It also helps for you to keep your work surface nice and clean. And we're going to put this together in a disc first. So we're putting the disc together. And I like doing it in somewhat of a rectangle initially. And then you're just folding in, folding it in, folding it in. Plus, it keeps your hands off of it so that the warmth of your hands will not affect the biscuits and the butter that's in the biscuit and the cheese that's in the biscuit. So there we go. Got all of that. All right, I'm going to get my roller, and we're going to get this rolled and cut. I have my rolling pin, and we're going to take it and just roll very gently, because we want them to be somewhat thick, but not thick, really thick. I'm going to roll them out to about anywhere between a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch. And I think that'll be just thick enough. Okay, that part's done. I'm going to use a glass for a cutter. And I have a perfect size little glass that I'm going to use here. I'm going to put a little bit of flour off to the side so I can just dust. See if I can scoot you over a little bit. So I can dust my cutter, and then I'm going to come back in and start cutting. Now, if you have a cutter, that's great. If you don't have one, then use your glass. And I'm a glass girl. All right, there's one. Like I said, these are going to be going into the freezer until the day that I want to prepare them. Don't get rid of your little pieces, because you're going to need those later. Just knock them out. If you get one that's a little crooked, it's okay. They look homemade because they are. Okay. I think I'll wait. Oh, that's okay. I'll give it a little touch up. And we'll put all this back together and roll out a little more. Never throw it away, because this is good stuff. So do a little kneading, roll, just a little. See how quick that was? Get in the flour. Another one. And I think this will probably make exactly one. Got it all together. I'm going to give it a little roll and a cut. Guess I should have put a little flour on that roller, so you won't stick, and give it a little cut. There we go. We used up almost all of that except for a little bitty stringy piece, which that's okay. I don't mind wasting that. Now, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take out some parchment, lay it onto parchment, then slide it into a gallon size bag. And we should be able to get probably 3 layers of biscuits in there. Now I have the parchment here. I'm going to take my biscuits and line them up. Now when you're getting ready to actually cook these, you'll want some nice softened butter. You can add a little more garlic powder, onion powder, the same things that you put in it. I wouldn't put any more salt though. Garlic powder, onion powder, and then put them into your pan, into the oven. Gonna want to brush them. Here's the third one. So we got 6 on each layer and 2 on this one. Okay, this is one bag. It's all going to go into a Ziploc bag. So let's get that. Okay, I have the Ziploc bag. I'm going to open it up pretty wide. I'm going to take these, put them on my hand, and wiggle them in. There we go. Now, if you have some friends coming, you can pop these out of the freezer, and you can do the same thing with regular biscuits as well. But we're going to put them into the freezer, and they're going to be ready and waiting for cooking. And you could even give this away as a gift. All right, so let's get these into the freezer. Now I'm going to take the last 1, 2, 3.5 biscuits, and I'm going to put them in a pan on some parchment, brush them with butter, and I'm going to bake those so that you can see what your cheddar biscuits are going to look like. Now I have parchment paper that I'm putting over my cast iron pan just because I want it to stay pretty clean, and I'm going to place in these 3 biscuits. And you know, I had one that was a little funny looking at the end, but you know what? It's gonna we're gonna squeeze him into, because we don't want him to be left by himself. And while the oven's coming up to temperature, which I need it at anywhere from 400 to 425, and keep your eye on it because you do not want them to burn, but you want them to be good. Now, I need just a little bit of butter to put over these. All right, I got my butter ready. And you know, sometimes you just can't find your little brush. So I'm going to pick these up, and I'm going to give them, I hope, a little flip. Let's see. Let's see if that works. I don't think so. There. We had to wait for the butter. I'm going to take just a little bit in each spoon, spread it around. The oven is up to its temperature. And since we're sampling, I'm not going to put any topping on it. But when you're ready, you're going to want to add a little parsley or basil. You can add those into your mix and then brush it on, and it's ready to go. So let's get these into the oven, and I'll tell you exactly how long it took. We have about 5 more minutes before those biscuits come out of the oven. And this house Smells amazing. Oh, 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 are you ready? Let's get them out of the oven. Oh man, guys, they're nice and warm, and I'm gonna flip them out of their paper. You know, I put them in the parchment so they would be easy to handle. Oh, they're so pretty and light. I let mine stay in because I like for them to get brown. And I'm going to take out a little saucer, and I'm going to take out the little one. Woo, nice and hot. I'm going to take out that little one. Ooh, there he is. I'm going to open him up. Now, you know, technically, we do not need any more butter. Okay, so I got my little baby biscuit, and it just is so tender, and it is screaming hot. Mmm. 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 Mm-hmm. It's delicious. Now, to be honest with you, this is my breakfast and lunch, and I don't know if I can get you close enough where you can actually see the butter and the cheddar that's inside of there. Mmm. Mmm, 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 mmm. You are going to want to put together these Cheddar Bay biscuits. Not tomorrow, but today. Get them together. I have the recipe listed below. And if you're not a member of my family, don't forget, hit that subscribe button, because I do these kind of things all the time. Now, I hope you have an absolutely wonderful, wonderful afternoon, and that your day is blessed. So, without further ado, blessings to you and yours. And I'll see you soon, right here at Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, where we work hard. We love God and family, and we know without a doubt that everything else is just gravy.